I did yesterday or a couple of days ago. I don't know if it was yesterday or not. Actually, I did a couple of days ago a tier list for battleships where I said pretty much there are no bad battleships. Now, I don't think that's certainly fitting for cruisers, but we are gonna get started. It's gonna be tier 10, it's gonna be tech trees and special ships, and we are starting right now. We have all the categories now from broken, super unicorn, unicorn great, you can play it, meh, and bro, please get out. And we're gonna start with the first ship. We're just gonna go in order here. We're gonna start with the first ship, the Zao. How broken is Zao? No, I'm just kidding. Good. The Zao is a ship I actually wanna put into great. Maybe I should have renamed a bit, but you get the idea. It's still far away from super broken and it's not completely useless. I kind of like the Zao. I think it got buffed, or I don't think, it got buffed multiple times. There's a decent HP pool now. With the unique upgrade, you have insanely good dispersion, you have decent range, you have okay-ish torpedoes. Concealment is great. Overall, I think Zao is, when it comes to a cruiser slot, pretty decent. Like, I cannot say it enough, in a kiting cruiser slot, I think Zao is decent. Sometimes I would love to have more armor, but that counts in for like a lot of heavy cruisers with 30 mil armor due to BB overmatch. But I do think it's in a solid slot. I don't want to put it in you can play it. I think it's a bit better than that. And when it comes to Japanese tactic cruisers, it would be my number 1 to grind. Yeah, it's an alright ship. I like it. Nothing really to add to it. Now, next one is Yoshino. I'm gonna put Yoshino right next to it because Yoshino does have bigger guns. Does have better AP, obviously, because 310mm guns. But is also way bigger and not as nimble as the Zao, plus does have that good of a concealment in comparison to Zao. You can play Yoshino double rudder shift instead of going for concealment at all, or you go concealment. That's up to you in that case. But they don't have the biggest difference to each other. I think, in fact, that the Zao is, yeah, and Yoshino are pretty much in power terms the same. Some people prefer the Yoshino, some people prefer the Zao. Can I go a bit closer, actually, like this? Good. So, nothing really when it comes to this. Like, it depends what you want. Do you want bigger guns with more AP penetration, or do you want more consistent salvos with the Zao? Keep in mind that Zao AP is still not to be underestimated with the 203s. But overall, both are solid ships, so I'm gonna put them into great, because I think they're fine in the current game state. Now, Kitakami. Yeah. Bro, please get out. Now, there's gonna be weeps screaming how I can put this there, but Kitakami is, for me, legit the single worst cruiser in the game. It brings nothing to the table. You have 20 torpedoes per side, but the problem is, you only reload one torpedo tube at the same time, with not even that good of a torpedo reload. You can choose between 12 km torps, which are rather fast and can hit everything, or you can choose between deep border torps that have 20 km range, which are not that fast, but they do insane amount of damage, but they can only hit BBs and CVs, so you can't hit cruisers with them. Overall, I think it's legit the worst. Not only was it the most expensive thing to get in the game, it's also the worst in the state. You can get citadeled by 2 or 3 HE, millimeter HE. You're just squishy. You have no HP pool. You have the worst AA of all cruisers in the game on tier 10. Actually, you have 0 DPS. If you shoot, you have like 3 DPS. So as soon as you don't have your exhaust smoke screen ready anymore, you are just helpless and you die to CV spotting instantly. It brings nothing to the table. I wish, honestly, I wish to make it remotely fun as a torpedo boat, that Wargaming would change it, that it reloads 2 torpedo tubes at least per side. Because you don't even have that good of a torpedo DPM. Yes, you can wait for 5 minutes and then launch the biggest torpedo volley in the game, pretty much. But not even that is the case, because you have Jinan, which can do the same, with better deep border torpedoes overall, because they can hit cruisers, and you have a torpedo reload booster, so theoretically you can even throw pretty much the same amount of shit, just like Kitakami, out with the Jinan in way less time. Plus you're having gun power, unlike Kitakami, and you have a proper smoke screen. So, yeah, Kitakami is useless. It's the worst cruiser in the game. Finally, we have a tier list where I can put something in there. Good. Yodo. there's gonna be probably a lot of people disagreeing with this because there's a fair few people who like Yodo, but I'm gonna put it into meh. Why do I put it into meh? The torpedoes, it's supposed to be also a torpedo-related cruiser with 15 km range and also hard-hitting torpedoes. The problem is with like a lot of Japanese torpedoes, you end up having horrible detection, and the torpedoes on Yodo have absolutely horrible detection. You have like, I don't know the exact value, I think it's 2.2 km, don't nail me on it, maybe it might be a bit better or worse, but they are spotted from the moon, so you can evade them because they're not really fast either. If they hit, if you catch a BB by any miracle in a turn, while it has no clue what's coming towards it, then you can do massive amount of damage with it, but other than that, the torpedoes are kind of useless. You do have 18 guns, which sounds on paper amazing, the most guns in the game on a ship. The problem is they don't have alpha, the AP sucks on them, and you pretty much spam with them just HE at long range. There's another problem, they tend to lose a lot of speed, so that means on like 15, 16, 70 km and upwards, you kind of already have a hard time aiming because the shell speed is getting ridiculously slow due to the drag. So yes, it can have some nice HE volleys out, but the torpedoes are useless, the guns are not really great, the AP is pretty much worthless, and unlike Zao and Yoshino, or no, unlike Zao, this thing is massive. This thing is an absolute brick. It's not maneuverable, and it's gigantically big, and you eat a ton of damage. So some people might perform with it, but I wouldn't recommend it to newer people. I think it's kind of like a noob trap, showing it as 18 guns, and people are like, yeah! Nothing much to add to it. Now, Kushiro. Wow, we're actually getting a lot of slots here. I put it and you can play it. Why do I put it and you can play it? I don't think it is as good as Zao or Yoshino. Because while it does have decent concealment, decent survivability, and exhaust smoke like Italians and F3 torpedoes, the shell speed also is kind of at longer ranges. And you just don't have the accurate volume of fire that the Zao or Yoshino can give you. Yes, you have 10 guns and they have 360 turrets, but I feel like they lose faster speed than on Zao. At least it feels like it. I don't know if the shell speed is actually any difference because both are 2 of these, but it just feels like, generally speaking, this ship is overall harder to play than the Zao and Yoshino. It is better than Yodo and Kitakami though by far, so I'm definitely gonna put it until you can play it. But it's alright. It doesn't bring anything too special to the table because the exhaust smoke generator is not long enough that you can YOLO, so you tend to use it only to disengage most of the times. But it's alright. It's for free. It's not a bad ship, and who knows, maybe it gets buffed at some point. Good. We are going next now with the first American ship of the line. We have the Wooster. Man, this ship used to be really, really strong, like 5 years ago, when it was released. Where do we put you, Sunshine? You're not bad, but you're not fantastic either. I put it into Unicom. Good. I put it into Unicom because it brings utility to the game. Wooster is like, and also it can also excel at division play quite a lot. Same as Austin later, although I think Austin is not that good. Wooster is a ship that has really good concealment. You have good arcs, or you have bad arcs, but these bad arcs allowed you to lob over islands, and you bring a vast array of tools. You got Raider, you got defensive AA, you have actually kind of working AA for what we have in the game. You have Hydro, you have a heal, you have everything on a different slot. It can still, I actually like playing it, I just don't play it that often anymore. It can still decide matches with the array it has. You can use terrain to your advantage quite a lot. You have still decent DPM, and again, especially in the division, this boy can excel. Plus, it leads you to Jacksonville, which is one of the most disgusting ships in the game. Overall, I still think it's solid because good concealment, decent gun DPM, and also obviously having all the tools. You don't have to decide if you want Hydro or Raider or Defensive A and so on. You just flat out get everything. So I would put it into Unicom. I still think it's performing fairly well. It is rather squishy, but that counts again in for all kind of cruisers with 30mm or less. So we put it into Unicom. I think it's still a good boat and definitely has its rights to exist. And I would actually recommend it even grinding, because once you can master these arcs, you can play a lot of the slow arc cruises as well, and you're bringing a lot of utility to the table. Next up, we have the Austin. Now, Austin is the first steel boat here. I'll put it... The thing is, Austin excels at division playing. If we play in this division, we can put it into Unicom or Super Unicom. But I judge all these calculations still by solo play, so we're gonna put it into Great. Now, Austin is a thing that heavily depends on matchmaking. It heavily depends, again, if you play it in a division or not. But since we judge it without divisioning in this is purely solo party of how we judge it. We're gonna put it into Great. Austin has unlimited reload boosters that can be triggered, and it has only SEP and HE. It doesn't have AP, which is kind of worth mentioning, obviously. The thing is, if you build Austin with the AA modification, or not AA modification, but the AA skill, the tier 4-point AA skill, and you have a CV in game, and you can kind of cover it by going into smoke screens or terrain or dodging, Austin can excel quite a lot, because you lower the cooldown of your, when you're getting attacked by planes, you lower your cooldown by the reload booster quite a bit. If you manage to get these reload boosters consistently off, you can do insane amount of damage to all targets, because once the reload booster on Austin is active, it has a ridiculously high damage output. The problem again though is that you can also get griefed at that point, like a Yamato can insta death strike you if he sees you and hits you, and it's very reliant. Like without Dutch ships in a game or something that can trigger your AA perk, your reload boosters still have quite a long cooldown, I think 90 seconds, so you're losing, like once you don't have the reload booster, your DPM is kind of sad, that's the thing. But it is definitely a fun ship to play, so I like playing it, it's kind of a challenge, and if you can utilize it plus the visioning, it can be a decent boat, so I'm gonna put it into Great. Because it does have its worth to exist, and it's not a bad ship in that regard. And like, if we would put the visioning into it, where you can use smoke screens and trigger the AA more often and so on, it's definitely also in Unicom plays easily. Now, Des Moines. Hey guys, I'm Wives the Chief. Bro, please get out. Des Moines also goes into Unicom. Now, I know a certain individual that I just mentioned would heavily disagree with it, but I think Des Moines is still an absolute beast to play. It brings in insane AP DPM, insane output, damage output with HE. You have the auto-loading 203s, you have the legendary mod that gives you the maneuverability. It suffers heavily from 30mm overmatch, but again, I don't need to like keep repeating myself. Most cruisers are suffering by this, and is a bit of matchmaking dependent. Like once there's no CVs, the Moines tend to perform way better because they can use the terrain without getting griefed by the CVs. It's still an absolute fantastic joy. As I said, the damage output is absurd. You have Raider, you have Hydro. With the unique upgrade, you have decent maneuverability. So overall, I still love this boat with my heart. If it would be for me alone, I would put it into Super Unicom. But generally speaking about the power level, I'm going to put it into Unicom. Now, Salem I'm gonna put into Great. I'm gonna put it lower for a few reasons. It's identical. It's an identical ship hull, but the downside is you cannot get the legendary mod. You cannot get Raider and Hydro at the same time. And if you choose Raider, your Raider is only 8.5 instead of 10 km range. The thing is with Salem, it has a super heal. Now, in theory, that sounds really cool. You have a Des Moines with a super heal, but the biggest problem of Des Moines is not HC spam or fires or floods. The biggest problem of the Des Moines class cruisers is BB overmatch. And once you get smashed by an Ohio for 20k, your super heal is not really that worth it because you can barely heal anything from it if you get Citadel. So it's kind of like if they would change the heal, that it would heal more Citadel damage. I could see Salem easily here or even here. But in the current state, The problem of the Moin classes are BB overmatch and nothing really else, and obviously CVs, but that has always been the case. So it's gonna be great. It needs to be lower because the super heal is not really worth it in that department. Next up, we have Puerto Rico. We all judge this, by the way, in random battles. We're not judging this in CVs or in rank, just to clarify that. I guess I'm gonna put Puerto Rico in Unicom. Now, a lot of people will probably disagree with it, but let me explain. Puerto Rico is a tier 10 Alaska in all kind of regards. You are more like a large cruiser than actually a normal cruiser. You're like in between a battleship and a large cruiser. You're like a very big boat. Now, it has 12 guns. They're not as accurate as Alaska, but you have 3 guns more, so you kind of can compensate it with volume of fire. So it brings a lot to the table. It has improved AP angles. It has devastating AP salvos on cruiser, but the shells are very slow. It can also spam fairly well HE. What makes the ship so strong, besides actually the guns, is the survivability. This thing, just like with Battleship Wisconsin, is impossible to citadel at close range. This thing has a citadel that's deeper than a submarine that's submerged on periscope depth. I'm not joking. The citadel is so low in the water that you can pull out some really brain-dead moves and push around corners, for example, in north, and just death strike a BB or something in close range, or another cruiser, because as long as you don't lift your citadel, you cannot really get consistently citadel. No, actually, it's pretty much impossible to get citadeled at ranges from like 5 km below. Unless you have really a perfect lob or some magic desync, it's impossible to citadel a Puerto Rico at close range. Now, at longer ranges, that doesn't count in. There you can still get smashed, and you also do suffer from BB overmatch for full pen damage. Nevertheless, I think it's a fairly strong ship, and that ridiculous armor layout can be of use quite a lot of times. Next up, we have Petropavlovsk. You know what? We're gonna put it into broken. Now, Petro got nerfed multiple times. It has worse concealment now, it has worse armor, although the armor is effectively not really that noticeable, besides if a Nakhimov strikes you. I put it into broken because Petropavlovsk is a cruiser that, unlike the other cruisers all mentioned before it, have the tankiness to withstand BBs without a bigger problem unless you show broadside. You also have the low freeboards, so even if you show broadside, depending on how good the vertical dispersion of a BB is, it might not even citadel you there. You also have absolutely insane guns. And without the unique upgrade, I would probably put it here. The problem though is, Petro in theory only excels at close range. On long range, it doesn't have that good dispersion. Now, but since the unique upgrade exists, which buffs the long range dispersion, and I take that into account, the unique upgrade, because you can potentially have it on a ship, it kind of is super consistent on longer ranges as well, and has a ridiculous AP pen. So in the current state, I still think it's one of the best tier 10 cruisers, and there is a saying, even in a lot of people, when in doubt, take Shitro out. Like, when you have a bad time, just take Petro into randoms, ranked, whatever you play, and you will generally perform really good, especially with the unique upgrade. So I put it on the broken part, but that's mainly due to the unique upgrade. If it wouldn't be for that, it's simply because of armor layout and the freeboard and so on. I would probably put it here otherwise. But with the unique upgrade, which we have to put into the calculation here, we're gonna put it into broken. Next up, we have Nevsky. Nevsky is gonna be in Super Unicom, because Nevsky is also covered in 30mm, like most other cruisers here, so it suffers from BB overmatch. But Nevsky has the advantage that it's ridiculously easy to play on longer ranges. It has insanely good 180mm guns that spam every 5.5 seconds, that have insanely good AP for the caliber, and also decent HE performance, so you can play it safe, you can go in, you have 12 km radar, it has a lot of utility. I think it's a very strong ship. I don't think it's as strong as Petro, but it's definitely good, and it doesn't really care about the scenarios, because it can play at close ranges, support the team, but at the same time, it's ridiculously easy to play at 18 km as well. Putting Desmo the same tier as Wooster is also a crime. I mean, look, I said if it would be for me only, I would put it here because I love Des Moines, but I'm judging for the entire place of people as well, and there's gonna be everybody's gonna cry if I put it here. Stalingrad. Stalingrad is gonna be also in Super Unicum. I don't put Stalingrad into Broken, even though it has these crazy magic guns. Stalingrad has absolute, like, the Stalingrad guns are to this day still magic. I can't say it in any other way. They're extremely strong. You have improved AP angles. You have short fuse, but at the same time you have ridiculous high pen. 1 second, by the way. I just dropped something. You have ridiculous high pen, but the problem comes that you are a massive ship that can also get punished fairly easy, and you have absolutely terrible concealment. So while the guns are absolutely amazing on the ship, it does suffer from a lot of things. It's also a large cruiser like Puerto Rico, meaning you don't have, you don't burn like normal cruiser. You have actually 60-second fires instead of 30 on you. So, or whatever cruiser fire duration is right now, I'm not sure. Is it 30 on cruisers? Is cruisers normal cruiser fire duration 30 or 20 or something? What is the normal cruiser fire duration? Anyway, Stalingrad counts as a battle cruiser just like Puerto Rico, so it burns way longer, and since you can't slot fire prevention on it like you used to a few years ago, it's not as good as Petro in that regard. It really isn't. So I'm gonna put it into Super Unicum because the guns are still absolutely amazing, but the ship does have a fair few drawbacks when it comes to survivability and concealment. Same with Moskva. Moskva, it looks funny how it's all Soviet ships. I'm sorry, guys, but they are actually really decent, all of them. Moskva has the same problem as Stalingrad. It's big, not as big though, and it is rather tanky once you're angled, but at the same time, it's rather easy to death strike if you show broadside. Moskva is nice though in comparison to Stalingrad, that while your AP is not that great, which is still a good AP round to be honest, you have really good overall, also solid HE DPM. You can set fires. It's easy to aim. With the unique upgrade, you have even a bit more range, and it's also it's really consistent. You have also pretty long radar duration for 12 km. And overall, Moskva is heavily player dependent. If I put Moskva on the average player, I will put it here or here, because the average player just dies in them the whole time. But once you master how to play it, it's a very, very strong ship, and it's still capable in the environment. Downside, again, just like Stalingrad, pretty big, and also shitty concealment. However, Moskva has the advantage that it counts as a normal cruiser, so you burn like a cruiser and not like a battle cruiser. Good. Next up, we have Smolensk. I mean, it doesn't really bring any utility to the table. I'm gonna put Smolensk into Unicum because it can't have that 19 km range anymore like it used to be. Smolensk is pretty much a smoke cruiser, a light cruiser that smokes up and farms damage with fires. It doesn't really bring too much utility into the game, but the damage output can be pretty good, and the fire chance is also pretty strong with the 16 guns. However, again, it doesn't bring the utility of, like, I would put a Wooster, for example, over Smolensk because Wooster brings utility in form of radar. But I don't want to put it here because I still think it can dish out a lot of damage, so we're rather going to put it here instead of here. I could also see myself putting it here, but since it does have the capability to dish out so much damage, and it has very easy to aim guns, we're definitely going to put it into Unicum. Yeah. Smoking up, it's very easy to gameplay. You smoke up, you start farming, you go again, you use terrain if you don't have smoke, and you just keep getting up numbers and numbers and numbers. It's just a farmer, pretty much. In fact, we could actually put it here. We can put it here, because it doesn't bring any utility into the game besides just farming people down. Honestly, I'm just gonna put it here. Next up, we have Sevastopol. I'm gonna put it into You Can Play It. This is funny, like a lot of people either love or hate this ship. Now, in theory, Sevastopol is a cool ship. It brings a lot of, not utility, but it brings a lot of cool gimmicks into the game. It has a high caliber, 380mm, it has good accuracy, it has improved AP angles. Now, and a zombie heal. Why do I put it only into... Why do I only put it into You Can Play It? Because I'm absolutely not a big fan of the ship. The DPM is lackluster. Like the volley, even like if we just judge it by raw alpha, the volley output with 22.9 seconds is just sad. You can also get griefed occasionally by dispersion, and you have no overmatch like BBs. You have 380s, meaning cruisers can bow tank the ship, most cruisers, even if they wanted to. So you often have to get yourself into a position where you can use your improved AP angles and smash somebody, but then you can get either robbed, or you're in a position where you might expose and then get smashed yourself. Because this ship, unlike all the other Soviet ships up here, or these three here, is covered in 30 millimeters, meaning you get overmatched by all the BBs again, all the high caliber BBs, and you eat a ton of damage. Now, inferiorly, the heal is cool. The heal is cool because you heal a lot, but it's not like a traditional super heal that heals a lot in a short time. It heals for like 40-50 seconds. I don't know the value right now. It's like crawls your HP up again. It's a normal heal that goes extremely long. But you don't really bring anything other than that cockroach heal kind of, and your guns, which are kind of mediocre once people know how to play against them. You're rather squishy, you're big and sluggish, you don't have any torpedoes, you don't have any radar. Like, in a perfect world where you would only have paid actors, Sevastopol would be probably great because you can constantly smash the cruiser players, but we are not in a perfect world and you have to work a lot for it. And even then, if the enemy has remotely one brain cell, they can play around your so-called cool main guns quite easily. So I'll put it here. I don't like it. If they have to change a thing about the ship, it would either be something regarding the armor or maybe the gun reload. Give it like 18 or 17 second reloads so you can spam way more. And it could be probably here or here. But right now, it's still capable of being played. I don't think it's as bad as these two, but it doesn't really bring anything to the table. The long heal reload got actually buffed. It actually doesn't have as long of a heal reload as it used to be. Commissar. I'm gonna put it here. Commissar is extremely squishy. Like extremely squishy. However, it has also insanely good guns. It has Soviet 240. They're not as good as Stalingrad guns, but they're better than Moskva's. I think they have tiny bit more than Moskva pen. Maybe the same or a tiny bit more, I'm not sure. But it also has improved AP angles. It has 12 of them. And the damage output can be absurd. It also has planes, meaning with a hybrid you have spotting capabilities. However, it is extremely long and also super squishy. It's one of the easiest to citadel heavy cruisers in the game. So I put myself a hard time putting it here, even though it does have plane spotting capabilities. It does bring with the spotting the utility, and it does have insane damage output. It also has these torpedoes, so I'm gonna put it here. It's definitely one of the better cruisers, but it's not as good as these boys here. Can I browse a bit more in? Here, there we go. Defense. Now I know a lot of people who think this ship is shit, but it's actually not that bad. I'm gonna put it here. Now let me explain. Defense is also a battle cruiser. It's pretty much like a baby Nelson. You can see it like this from the hull. It's like this oil tanker look. It has 6 356mm guns, which are, from the pen values, pretty good and have ridiculously strong HE as well. So the AP is good, you have improved AP angles, you have good accuracy, you also have insanely good HE, you have smoke screens, although your smoke bloom is... Now, the smoke bloom is actually kind of good. It's 11 km, which is for the gun caliber pretty good again. And you also have, unlike Sevastopol, when it comes to big guns, insanely good reload as well. You have also torpedoes that can protect you in brawls. The only real downside you have with this ship is it's extremely squishy. It's extremely squishy, but the damage output can be pretty good. You have burst. You have also improved acceleration. I kind of remember. I might be wrong on that, but I do think you have improved acceleration. Now, this thing comes next patch also from this video when I posted. Next patch, we're gonna have this thing for 415,000 coal. Do I think it's worth it? No. I think it's a good ship, but it's not worth that insane price tag. So I would rather choose, for example, a Hayate or Vero de Bazan or something, or Yoshino, because the price tag is way too high. If it would have the same prices, you could think about it. But yeah. It's an alright boat. I like playing it actually a lot, but I wouldn't recommend it for the insane price tag when it comes to coal. And it can also, it does struggle. If you get caught, it can get evaporated rather easily because the armor is pretty squishy. But I do think the guns are kind of lovely and they are pretty consistent and accurate as well. So, and unlike Sevastopol, you do have way faster reload. So, yeah. Good. Next up, we have the Plymouth. As much as I hate the ship, I don't like it. I would play Minotaur over it at any day. I'm gonna put it into Great as well. Why do I put it into Great? Because Plymouth, or nah, it has radar. I can't just put it in down here. It has radar, it has utility. Plymouth is alright. You have you'd like a massive Fiji or Edinburgh with 16 guns, with horrible firing angles, but you do have smoke screens and radar in a different slot. So you have a smoke radar combination, which can be fairly nice. However, as I said, bad firing angles, extremely squishy, and the torpedoes I think you have only one torpedo launcher instead of Minotaur's 2. So personally, I just put it here because it has the smoke radar combination. I'm not a big fan of it. It would be my least recommended steel ship, most likely, when it comes to cruisers. But it is not a bad ship. I can't say it's bad because it does bring utility in, and it can also dish out damage if you are able to utilize terrain. And I would take Minotaur at any point over this. But some people swear on the radar smoke combination, so I'm gonna put it here. It can be definitely useful. Although I hate the firing angles. I hate that it's not maneuverable as Minotaur. Next up, we have Gibraltar. I'm gonna put it into bro, please get out. Or actually, no, Kitakami needs to be alone. It's meh. Gibraltar is a research bioship you can get. See it pretty much like a Goliath that has, instead of 4 guns, 4 turrets, 3 turrets with 12 guns in total. It has only AP, which has really good AP, improved AP angles, and I think it's also short fuse, so you can kind of nuke ships with it. But it's extremely squishy. It's massive. It has, the gimmick about it is that it has this good AP and it has smoke screens. The problem is your smoke firing penalty is absolute garbage in that boat, so you can't even play it remotely aggressive as you would love to. And you have no torpedoes, you have no super heal like Goliath. Like, honestly, it's just one of the worst ships I could imagine playing. And it's still better than Kitakami, but it's definitely not recommended from my side, especially for research biro, where it's crazy hard to get, crazy hard to grind all these points. So don't take this ship, really. It's really not worth it. Minotaur. Put it here or here? I love Minotaur. I really do love Minotaur. I think this thing can be so strong and can change, like, especially a radar Mino can change the outcome of a battle so hard. I really need to decide about this. For me, it would be straight up here. You know what? We're gonna put it here. Good. I put Minotaur in Super Unicorn. Exclusively radar Mino. If it comes to smoke Mino, I would put it here, most likely here. But we're judging it by how I also play it in a radar Mino. Minotaur is an absolute fantastic ship. It has insanely good concealment. It has decent torpedoes, and if you run it into radar and you're experienced with it, however, you need to be experienced for it, you can have enormous amount of impact on games. You have a 1 km stealth radar, you have 9 km conceal and a 10 km radar, which can run over 50 seconds. So if a DD runs into you, the chance that he makes it out alive is Not high, if at all existent. The ship can bring so much utility into the game with a radar build. You have decent torpedoes to stop any BB from really yoling you, and if you manage to use the terrain to your advantage, then you don't even need the smoke screen because you have your godlike concealment and maneuverability. Yes, the ship is actually extremely squishy, but you also have a super heal, and you can actually heal. I think the super heal is better than on Salem. I think you can heal more Citadel damage on Minotaur than on Salem. But anyway, you have a super heal, you have insanely good stealth radar, you have insane DPM, so if you just can work on chips with the short fuse, you get a lot of full pens, and your damage racks up rather fast. And again, you have 8 torpedoes per side, preventing you from anybody really rushing you down. Plus, you also have improved accelerations. Acceleration on the ship, so definitely if you're a decent player, absolute top-notch ship, love it. Next up we have Goliath.
Hello there.
Do you put it in grade or you can play? I think I'm gonna put Goliath into actually I'm gonna put it into grade. I personally think Goliath is necessarily not a bad ship per se. It does have some drawbacks due to mostly armor, but it also has some plus points there. Goliath is a heavy cruiser, which brings, with 234mm guns, actually overmatched against super lights. You can overmatch the Smolensk with AP and a Minotaur, for example, with AP, which is not worth not mentioning. But the bread and butter about Goliath is the insane HE alpha. You have ridiculously high alpha on the HE, you have quarter pen on the guns, and you have insanely good fire chance as well. You also have a super heal on Goliath, and you have an okay hull. Now the downside starts. The deck armor is 40mm, if I remember correctly, on Goliath, which is actually very nice, so you can occasionally ricochet some BB-AP there, but the rest is covered in 25 or 30, meaning you are still extremely squishy, especially at closer ranges to battleships, and if you show broadside, you get evaporated by BBs rather quickly. You also don't really have a utility besides damage output. Yes, you have a Hydro and you have a super heal, but you don't have a radar or something. Overall, I wish the ship would be a bit more tanky, or it had faster shells with a bit more range to play it a bit more safe, because you have to be rather close. I don't like running range mod on Goliath because you lose a lot of DPM them. I still love having the reload mod, but then you are only at 16.4 km, which is not the most optimal distance. However, you have decent concealment on the ship, and you have also torpedoes. Nah, it's an okay ship, but I wish they would buff a bit about Goliath. I really wish. Now, Monmouth. Monmouth, however you say that. I can put this into, you can play it. I played it a couple of times, I hated it. I think it's better. It's pretty much a bigger Gibraltar in that regard. Just like Gibraltar, but instead of having a smoke screen, I think you have a super healer in Monmouth, right? What is the special about Monmouth again? I just remember it was AP only as well. I think it has more pen than Gibraltar. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of the ship. It doesn't really bring utility into the game either. It's very one-dimensional, and I just didn't like it. I think the AP only behind it wasn't really a good idea, nor is it much tanky either. So it's definitely better than Gibraltar from my experiences, but other than that, not worth mentioning. Next up, we have Hildebrand. I'm gonna put it here. Now let me explain. I don't per se think that Hildebrand is necessarily broken, the ship itself. However, I absolutely despise the amount of spotting and plane output this ship can do, and how greedy it is for a random lobby. Hildebrand itself is a large hybrid cruiser with 6 Eager guns in the front, which actually perform fairly decent. It also is fairly survivable because of a large HP pool and decent armor on the side. The absolute piece that breaks Hildebrand, in my opinion, and puts into the broken category is it can spam planes non plus cooldown. You have 1 minute cooldown on the torpedo planes, which are obviously for spotting pretty strong, and they're also rather easy to aim. And then every 3 minutes, or 4 minutes, I'm not sure right now, you get the Enola Gay bomber. The nuclear bomber is how I like to call them. You get a dive bomber that can one-shot a DD, and actually fairly consistent half HPing them. I wouldn't say you can fairly consistent one-shot them, depending if they're stationary or not, but you get a dive bomber that always gets the strike off. No matter what. As soon as you're in AA range, you just proc the heal on them and you don't even lose a single plane, maximum 1 plane. And you can drop damage numbers which are beyond 15k on battleships, on cruisers. You can get double fires, you can nuke DDs. It's ridiculously toxic and just broken by design. And I just hate the fact that you, like, Hildebrand can be effectively played without using guns. That's how dumb the design is. That's how dumb the design is. And that's not counting in that it also has decent guns. It's like, I honestly wish the current design this ship would be removed from the game, or it would be like Admiral Atik, where you focus on the guns and not the planes. But later on that, we're gonna go here. Next up, we have Hindenburg. I'm gonna put the Hindenburg in Unicom. It is also mostly damage farmer, just like these guys and kiting cruisers, but Hindenburg has one thing going on for it that I prefer playing over the Zao, and that's the damage output. Hindenburg's reload is actually, for 12 guns, insane. It also has extremely high AP alpha, and it does have a 6 gram hydro, meaning occasionally you can actually do some pushes where the Zao would struggle with. You have to worry about BB overmatch. But other than that, it's still a really good damage. It has a really high damage output, and it also has the advantage that thanks to quarter pen, you deal extremely amount of HE damage to all the 50mm boys or 40mm boys. You pen Petrus, you pen Stalingrad, you pen Moskva. You have, unlike Goliath, the range to play it safer. Like overall, even though Hindi struggles a bit when it comes to the overmatch against BBs, I think it's a very strong ship still. And it can rack up insane numbers while still having also decent impact with the ability to push into certain objectives. And you also have a turtleback, which means, yes, you're getting smashed at long range, but at close ranges is also not, it can be citadeled, but it's not the easiest ship to citadel at close ranges because you tend to get a lot of overpens on it then, unless you know where to aim in the back part. But fairly decent, love the boat, still one of my favorites, but no radar and so on, obviously not gonna be in this category. Next up, we have Prince Adalbert. The newest addition to the game when it comes to cruisers. Now, the thing with this ship is, I'm gonna put it here, and let me explain why. It could drop down here. I still think this, or we can put it here, like, it's not fully known what the ship is capable of. Let's say it like this. I still think there's gonna be people finding out some ridiculous threats of it or making the most out of it. And I think it has the possibility to be in the Super Unicom category. Let me explain why. This ship has pretty decent main guns. They're not bad. They don't bring too much to the table when it comes to overmatch, but they're still 350s with pretty decent pen. The pen is between the 380s of the German and the 305s. Like, it's in between. It's a pretty good mixture of pen. It's like nearly as 380 pen on the German boys. So the pen is there. We have 9 guns, which are pretty accurate. And you have an insane array of secondaries, plus also torpedoes, hydro. Now, the special thing about Prince Adalbert is it has manual secondaries. And this is why I think it could be potentially Super Unicom. Because manual secondaries mean you can aim your secondaries yourself. Meaning in brawls, for example, where the secondaries, the AI secondaries will always hit the belt and do 0 damage. I don't know if you notice it. Basically what happens is, when you're in brawls and you're next to each other, the secondaries always aim for the center of the ship and hit the armored belt and do 0 damage. I don't know if you noticed that against BBs. Like when 2 libtards driving past each other usually, or the closer they get, they always aim for the middle point and they don't do that much damage like they would do on longer ranges where they land on the superstructure in the front and in the back. With Prince Adalbert, you can pinpoint hits while you reload your guns, different sections of the ship, causing multiple fires, which are normal.
Authors_82 just resubbed for 13 months. Hey guys, hi Trendless, mods and chat community.
Thank you so much, Autos. Thank you for the 13 months, man. And this pinpoint fire means you can decide wherever you want to hit the secondaries in that moment. You can. Thank you so much, Autos. I need to focus real quick. Sorry. Thank you so much, bro. But basically, what I mean with this is, Prince Adalbert can aim with the manual secondaries in front and... Okay, we need to wait.
Authors_82 has gifted 5 subs to viewers.
Authors, thank you so much, guys. Guys, wait for the end of the video, but thank you so much, man. Really much appreciated. And thank you, Valorant, for an extra sub. So, with the manual secondaries, you can aim in the front, in the back, in the middle, wherever you want extra fires or damage output. And this is something that's extremely strong. What you can also do with the manual secondaries is, and this is where I noticed a lot of potential for them, when the submarine pings in front of you. We all know how much we hate the fact that submarine pings are not always on the submarine. They can be a kilometer off to the left, to the right, top, bottom, whatever. Like the ping is usually not exactly where the submarine is. What you can do with Prince Adalbert, and it was extremely effective when I played it, you see a submarine ping, you use your manual secondaries, which have no lock on, and you just blast into the direction of the ping. Since you don't have a lock on, the secondaries go all around the ping as well, and you tend to hit the submarine always, because it spreads out over a kilometer to the left and right, the secondary dispersion, meaning you can pinpoint find submarine players with the manual secondaries, which is an extremely strong perk. As long as they're periscope or above the water. That's actually really, really strong. And also what's strong is you can also smoke fire DDs easily with the amount of blasting DPM you have. Plus, as long as you're not spotted, the smoke bloom doesn't increase of secondaries. You can also, if you are in the smoke screen and you just use your secondaries, you don't have any smoke bloom. Meaning effectively you only get spotted at 2 km. So I think there's a lot of things that people still can adapt with this line, which can be extremely strong, and this is why I put it into Super Unicom. The downside would be where it could be in Unicom though is, it does have 30mm deck and the nose is overmeasurable. So, and it doesn't bring radar nor something else besides the hydro and the manual secondaries to the table. So it could also be here, but the possibilities of the manual secondaries, I just have to put it here. Like, you don't know how many submarine players I killed with this thing, because they pinged, I just spammed manual secondaries into the direction and I found them instantly. Like, the biggest problem with submarines solved with manual secondaries, which is absolutely amazing. Next up, we have Marseille. Marseille I'm gonna put into Unicom. I think it's a good boat. In fact, I think it's a lot of fun to play. It has pretty big guns, 330mm guns. It has good reload. It handles amazing. I can't describe it like how I mean it exactly, but the ship is very responsive for the size. You can accelerate real quick, you can duke, you can turn with the speed boost, you can rotate flanks real quick. You have enormous gun power with the reload booster at its helm as well. It can spam BBs with HG, force DCPs, you can clap cruisers with the AP. I just love playing this boat, and I think it's a very, very enjoyable ship to play. Downside would be it doesn't have any hydro, it doesn't have any torpedoes, it doesn't have a radar, and the concealment is not the best, but it's not bad either. I love this boat, I just love it. Like, it's a lot of fun to play. If you're looking for a fun boat, Marseille is definitely recommended. Now, Lighthouse Henry, where do we put you? We put you also here. Henry has his old stats back. They revoked all the nerfs it had on acceleration and so on a couple of years ago, or months, I don't know, like last year somewhere at the beginning. I think they made Henry how it was again. So Henry is a really good ship when it comes to dishing out damage. If you build into a lighthouse, you can get absurd numbers. It has amazing AP, it has amazing HE, it has some spaced armor that can protect it from citadels occasionally as well. It's very fast, and overall a very solid ship. I think I'm still in the top 100 on EU when it comes to stats with this boat, so good ship still nevertheless. And I would also put it up here because it does, these two have the capabilities to death strike people also with AP, and you have the reload booster, which can be super vital in moments to finish off multiple targets fast. Next up we have Admiral Latique. The Admiral Latique I'm gonna put into Unicom as well. Man, the French line is gonna be here, right? Nah. Admiral Latique is just like Hildebrand, a hybrid ship, but unlike Hildebrand, it's not focused around planes, it's focused around the main guns. It has 6 Marseille guns, which are extremely accurate, and also have decent reload. So I think that the output, the damage output of the ship is also there. It's also fairly tanky with a lot of HP. And you do have the plane spotting capabilities when it comes to utility. Now, it's not as obnoxious as Hildebrand, because Hildebrand obviously has the plane spam and also the ridiculously strong nuclear bombers. Meanwhile, Latique has some okay skip bombers, to say the least. But Latique is all about the guns. It's still a pretty strong ship, though. It's not bad. You can rack up insane results of it. And the thing is also extremely fast. Like, this thing is extremely fast. 40 plus knots with speed boost. Next up, we have Brennus. Brennus is not going to be in Unicum. It's going to be on Grade. Simply for the fact because it has a bigger caliber than Henry, and it has easier to aim guns than Henry, but it has worse reload, and it doesn't have a reload booster, it doesn't have a hydro. Like, it has a lot of downsides over the Henry that I need to put it into Grade. In theory, it's not a bad ship, and in fact, for players that struggle aiming with Henry, they're probably gonna like Brennus, because Brennus has extremely fast shells, making it way easier to play on long range if you have no clue how to aim the guns. However, again, you don't have a hydro, and you don't have a reload booster. You also have less shells, even though they do more damage. Worth mentioning, it does have 1 more torpedo tube per side, but that's not really the selling argument when it comes to these cruisers, because they tend to be played at medium to long ranges anyway. And by the time you are in close range with a Henry, your reload booster is better than any torpedoes, because you can nuke people crazily. So I would put it into Grade. I don't think it's as good as Henry. Next up, we have the Colbert. Wow, if I would be John the Ruthless, I would put it into Broken. But I'm also gonna put it into Unicom, yeah, because Colbert can be insanely nuts when it comes to damage output, and it can be an absolute nightmare to deal with if you know how to speed duke, how to use this terrain, and how to, in general, play the ship. It's very, very hard to play, though. This is not a beginner-friendly ship at all. Like, by no means this is a beginner-friendly ship at all. It has insane damage output, both AP and HE, although the AP is mainly for short range engagements where you can aim on upper belts and superstructure. But it's super easy to kill. Unlike Smolensk, it doesn't really get overpenned if you smash it, so if your BB hits you, you're just gonna explode pretty much. You completely rely on your speed capabilities to brake and accelerate and use terrain to the advantage. Again, it can have absurd amount of damage, but it doesn't really bring anything in case of utility to play, because again, once more, you don't have smoke, you don't have radar. You're just relying on your pure raw damage output, although that damage output can be absolutely insane. And if I can recommend you, if you ever want to see peak Colbert gameplay, watch John the Ruthless. He's just gigantically broken with the ship. High skill gap, though. Extremely high skill gap, to be fair. We could also put it probably here, but I myself have actually really decent results with it, so I'm just gonna put it here, because it's just insane what you can pull out of it. And you can play it way more aggressive than the Smolensk, despite not having a smoke screen, because you can, unlike Smolensk, use your speed to duke shells very, very decently. Now, next up, we have Venezia. I think I'm actually gonna put Venezia into Super Unicom. Extremely strong ship. Basically, it has an exhaust smoke generator, it has submarine surveillance, meaning you can also deal insane amount of damage to submarines, basically spotting them with their underwater around you. You have SAP, which does enormous amount of damage. You have exhaust smoke generators, meaning you can disengage or use it for pushing somebody, depending what you like. Like, if you run the leg mod, you can constantly smoke pretty much and just, yeah, farm people for free. And you also have a pretty decent, when it comes to survivability, the hull is actually actually not too bad. The hull is actually fairly decent as well when it comes to that. Like, it's rather tanky actually for a cruiser as well. So if you build into a lighthouse, you can do absurd amount of damage that sticks. Unlike HE, the damage with the sap is actually sticking, and you're actually adding up numbers that can't be healed that easily. I prefer playing it without a lighthouse build though. I like the concealment build more, aka I like the lag mod build as well. I do think it's a really, really borderline strong ship, like OP even nearly in the department, because you can just one-tap DDs, you can deal with the submarines, you can do reliant damage across the board against every class. You can smash cruisers, you can do a lot of damage to BBs, you can one-tap DDs if you catch them off guard, or like nearly severely cripple them, and you have also tools against submarines while having the smokescreen to disengage, so it's definitely a very, very strong ship. Very, very good. Definitely recommended to grind. Next up, Napoli. Napoli is gonna be broken. Why is Napoli gonna be broken? As easy as it is, it's the best coal cruiser you can get in the game currently. Napoli puts another point onto what makes Pedro so special with the insane survivability and puts another line on top of it. Napoli is probably the tankiest cruiser in the game. It has so much armor, it is not even reliably, you cannot reliably citadel it even if it shows broadside, you a lot of times only get full pens on it. It has ridiculous armor, it has insane speed, it has ridiculously high concealment, low concealment with 10.8 or 10.3, something with 10 km concealment. It has ridiculously good concealment, it's maneuverable. It has insanely strong secondaries that just melt any DD player which is remotely close to it. It has also the guns. Always, people say always the guns are very janky and not reliant, but honestly, the main guns have also capabilities to overmatch super light cruisers as Minotaur or Smolensk, and they have a pretty decent AP pen, and the HE is not as bad as with the other Italian ships either. This thing is just so frustrating to play against, and it's one of those ships that's kind of doesn't care about matchmaking. There's a CV in game, you don't care about it. You have a smoke screen to disengage. There's a lot of BBs, you don't care. You are ridiculously tanky as long as you don't show point blank range full broadside. And if there's so many cruisers, you have insane concealment. This ship is just my definition of the most hated ship you could ever fight. It's an absolute joy to play, but if you have an opponent who remotely knows the game, it's one of the most frustrating experiences to kill. Because this thing is so hard to kill, it's not even funny. This thing can pull some ridiculous aggressive moves. This thing can disengage whenever it wants with the smokescreen. It has torpedoes, it has survivability, it has secondaries that don't, like, the secondaries alone are ridiculous enough to just, like, you have a DD, you surprise the DD with it, you can't hit them with the main guns, no problem. In like 6 seconds you did 8k damage to the DD anyway at like 5 km because they just hit them before the sap damage and do a lot of damage. This is one of the best chips in the game, and just, I can't stop ranting about it, it's just ridiculous. So if you're looking for a good coal cruiser, get Napoli first. It's just so broken in the current iteration, because even if you show broadside, it's not like a Moscow or Stalingrad where you instantly get multiple citadels. Nah, you get a lot of times dropped and you just get full pens, so you don't even care about it. So, crazy boat. Absolute crazy boat. If you have any clue about the game, this thing is so ridiculously tanky and can pull up some moves, and you don't really care about the matchmaking too much, making it extremely strong. Next up, we have Castilla. I'll put it into grade. I don't think it's a bad boat, but it doesn't really bring anything to the table. It has pretty good AP pen. In fact, it has Napoli guns that are more accurate, pretty much. It has the same caliber, I think. It's the same guns, but Castilla is more accurate. The only special thing worth mentioning about Castilla is it has a burst fire mode, meaning you can shoot 2 salvos in quick succession for a longer reload. Even though the reload is not that long. I think you lose effectively when it comes to DPM 2 seconds, which is not that big for what you gain. The burst fire is kind of cool because it means if you catch somebody off guard, he's doing a mistake, maybe a cruiser turning, you have the ability to more consistently death strike somebody, because you get 2 shots off where usually all the other ships only get 1 shot off. So even if your RNG screws you over on the first salvo, you have a potential second salvo where you can smash opponents with. But that's pretty much it worth mentioning about it. Otherwise than this, it's just a kiting HE farmer or AP farmer depending on what you have. It doesn't bring too much utility. The burst fire is kind of cool, and I have consistently decent results with it, but it's definitely not the Unicom or Super Unicom placement worth here, because the burst fire alone is not gonna put it into the ranks of the other ships here. Next up, we have Prince Van Oranje. Where do we put you, man? I have to decide. I have to decide where I put you here. Do we put you in Unicom? Like, it's actually hard to decide. I think I'm actually gonna put it into Super Unicom. Let me explain why. It doesn't actually bring that much of utility to the game. It doesn't have a radar, for example. However, it's fairly tanky. It has insane guns. Prince Van Oranje's guns are an absolute joy to play. They have good HE, and the AP is absolutely amazing. You can citadel cruisers as ranges where you wouldn't think you could citadel them. And also it has overmatch against super lights such as Minotaur and Smolensk again. It's a great boat. Like it's like a Golden Line, but instead of relying more on the planes, it's fully focused on the guns, and the guns are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So the AP pen alone makes it very good, and it's very easy to aim at longer ranges, so you have the possibility to smash other cruisers. Hell, you can even citadel BBs at close ranges, which makes it very, very nice. It's very resilient. It also has, for what we have in the game, absurd AA, just like Golden Line and so on, the Dutch things. It has crazy good AA for what we have in the game, meaning against noob CV players, you can actually even prevent strikes, and they fly into your flag clouds, and you poof, you just get 10 plane kills. It has also short cooldown. Actually, I'm not sure if it has a short cooldown on heal, but unlike Golden Line, it burns like a normal cruiser because it doesn't have battle cruiser guns. Overall, I love this boat. I think the guns are really strong. And on top of that, you have 15 km airstrikes, which are kind of hard to aim. But if you can pull it off and get used to it, you can do some absurd numbers with them as well. For example, if you land 2 of these airstrikes on a Montana, let's say the Montana is stationary, you get 2 of these airstrikes off, you can nearly kill him. You can do so much damage to US BBs and all the other lightly armored BBs, which is absolutely crazy. The drops can hit hard. Like, I've seen people like just getting like 50k drops or 40k drops on a Monty, instantly evaporating him from the game. Especially if you force the DCP early and you get 3 or 4 fires on the battleship, it's just GG over. So definitely a strong ship. We could put Golden Line right next to it. The Roden has less consistent guns and also burns 60 seconds instead of the normal 30 seconds. However, if we have the unique upgrade on Golden Line, you get an insane plane spamming machine. In case you don't know it, basically what the unique upgrade does on Golden Line is it replaces the reload slot, and you get 3 drops of your airstrikes with a really fast reload. I think it's 50 seconds or something. I'm not sure about the reload now. And they are also easier to aim than on a Prince. I think they're 15 seconds or 14 seconds leading time, which is rather easy to utilize. And you can get some insane drops with them off. You also have 283mm guns. While they can be sometimes inconsistent, they're still having insanely good AP pen and also really good HE fire chance. So not to be underestimated, especially since the ship got buffed last year and the Sigma of the main guns got even a bit improved. And just like Prince Van Oranje, Golden Line also has an insane AA rating, meaning you can kind of defend yourself off planes, which is something you usually don't see in this game often. So definitely a very, very strong ship. And where would we be at it if I wouldn't put the Utrecht right next to it as well. Man, Dutch boats are insane, guys. Look at this. Utrecht is probably one of the best light cruisers in the game. Not only does it have ridiculously good and easy to aim main guns, these are like Z52 turrets pretty much with better HE damage. They're super easy to aim, you have 70 km on it, but what makes this thing so obnoxious to fight against it is not that it only has good main guns. The plane reload on Utrecht is absolutely insane. They even nerfed the reload, but it's still nowhere near enough. Every 40 seconds, you can drop a pattern, which is very easy to aim because it's just over 12 seconds of leading time on BBs, on cruisers, whatever you want, pretty much. Maybe not a DD on full speed, but you can hit cruisers and BBs super reliable, do insane amount of damage, force DCPs, get then instantly permafires again. This thing is absolutely toxic to fight, has also good concealment. The guns not only have 70 km range, they have also really nice shell ballistics. Unlike Skolber, for example, it's super easy to aim at longer ranges as well. And put on top of that, if you put the Dutch captain on it, you will easily get a third strike. You will get Wiverus non-plus cooldown. Like, you get Wiverus without cooldown every game. Not every game, but you will get so many Wiverus. You will trigger the captains pretty much every game. This thing is absolutely disgusting to face and very, very strong. Once you can spot it, there is a decent chance though you can evaporate it. Although, just like with a lot of light cruisers, sometimes you just get overpens. Nevertheless, even after they nerfed the plane reload, ridiculously strong because, like, what they should have done, and I'm kind of a bit disappointed by Wargaming here, the base reload back, or the plane reload was 30 seconds back in the day. What they did now is, they nerfed it by 25-ish%, it's now 40 seconds. But the problem is, instead of leaving it like this, and that would be still strong, they gave it way more fire chance, and they gave it more penetration as well. So, the penetration is not really worth mentioning, but it's more about the fire chance, and they increased the alpha of the bombs, what makes me kind of sad about it. Because they could have legit just nerfed the reload, and that's it. Nothing else, and the ship would be still really, really strong. But because they had to nerf, because they nerfed the reload, they had to buff it in any other ways, which I really don't
Insane
like.
Trucker has gifted a sub
Okay,
to
good.
WG Citadel, my ass.
Thank you, bro. That's a bit inappropriate right now, but anyway. Next up, we have Brisbane. Brisbane I'm gonna put into Unicom. I don't think it's as good as Minotaur, because yes, you gain HE in comparison to Minotaur, but you lose pretty much half your DPM for it. You do get a 12 km radar, but you lose a lot of radar duration for it. Like, you have like 30 or something if you build into it. Meanwhile, Minotaur has over 50 seconds of radar. You get better torpedoes, actually quite a bit better torpedoes, but you also lose again 800 meters on concealment towards Minotaur. So it's kind of like you're gaining in a fair few spots, but you always take a heavy price for it. Like, you get longer radar from the range, but you lose a lot on the duration. You gain insane in the torpedo department, but you lose a lot in concealment in comparison. Also, you have way longer torpedo reload than Minotaur. And you gain the capability to spam HE instead of only AP, but you cut your DPM pretty much in half. So, I don't think it's as good as Minotaur. It's a good ship, definitely, but I would play Minotaur with it at any day. Next up, we have Cerberus. Cerberus I'm gonna put into Unicom. I think it's a really, really strong ship. It has the ability to, like, it brings crazy amount of utility in with the ability to completely counter submarines. It's the cruiser that shits on submarines pretty much. You have 11 km ASW range, you have 3 drops, and you have submarine surveillance. You can force submarines underwater with your hydro. Generally speaking, absolutely amazing in that department. It also has ridiculously high fire chance and really good gun DPM, considering 12 203 guns. And you have a crawling smoke, meaning you can farm for multiple minutes on battleships and just chunk down HP, force DCPs, get permafires. I'm a big fan of this boat. I think it's really strong. It is squishy, but so is most other cruisers, and you do have the crawling smoke. And unlike, for example, a Gibraltar, you have also a really good smoke firing penalty for what you have. You have 12 203mm guns, but your smoke firing penalty is only 7.3 km, which is honestly insanely good. I mean, just put it into perspective, Venezia has 10 km with the same caliber. So, I love this boat, I really do. I think it's a very, very strong ship. Next up, we have Incheon. I think I'm gonna put Incheon here. Incheon is an 8-gun buffalo, kind of, if you see it like this. It doesn't have 12 guns. It has 8 guns, but it has Des Moines reload. Now, this boat is kind of also like only a damage farmer in that regard. You have deep water torps and a smoke screen, but you don't bring any other utility to the game besides damage farming. It does it pretty decently, even though I'm not personally liking the ship too much. I don't like it too much, but I see people regularly performing very well with it, so maybe that's just a skill issue on my end. But I don't think it brings too much to the table in that department. It's alright. It definitely can dish out some damage. It's coming back soon as well to the game again. I think you cannot get it currently. It's okay. If you're looking for a Pan-Asian cruiser that spams out of smoke that's not Jinan, although Jinan is far better, then don't look ahead, there's Incheon for you. And speaking of, we're getting Jinan, and Jinan is instantly going to be a super Unicum ship. This ship on release was very mediocre. But again, just like how it is with some certain buffs, looking at Colombo, they overtuned Jinan crazily. Wargaming has buffed the arcs of Jinan, so the shells actually don't float in the air anymore. They are pretty fast. They buffed the fire chance and the alpha on these guns back in the day. Like also like 2 years ago, roughly, I think. Maybe 1.5. I'm not sure about the date exactly right now. But Jinan got crazily buffed. I think it has probably the highest fire chance of all cruisers in the game when it comes to actual DPM, like actual shooting and fire chance. I think it has the highest fire chance in the game. Not only this, it also has smoke screens. While it doesn't have a hydro, you need to be very careful about your surroundings in that department. It brings an enormous array of and this is where I think, by the way, Kitakami is like completely useless. Jinan gets also an enormous array of torpedoes. You have 10 deep water torpedoes per side with 13.5. You have pretty much 10 Yang torpedoes per side, which reload also quite decently fast. On top of that, you have a reload booster, meaning if you manage to like pull it crazily off, you can launch 40 deep water torpedoes into one position. Because 10 on each side plus another 20, so 40 torpedoes. You can stop entire pushes of enemy teams or forcing them to turn and give broadside to your BBs because you lock an entire flank up. Which is extremely strong, and the torpedoes is just crazy. But the torpedoes are not the thing what makes it the Super Unicum part, because the torpedoes it always had. But the fact that they also buffed the guns so crazily, as I mentioned, is what makes it into the Super Unicum card, because you don't even need to rely on the torpedoes. You can legit just play it with guns, and you will have insane results while supporting your team. That's the thing, what makes it so strong. The torpedoes are just a bonus and can block entire flanks from pushing. So this is one of the best smoke cruisers in the game, and ridiculously strong. I love playing this boat. This boat is super duper strong, and definitely deserves to be in Super Unicum. Next up, we have St. Martin, and that's also going to be in Super Unicum. This is the so-called cockroach of World of Warships. St. Martin is I don't know actually what we can like compare it to. It's a light cruiser which has 10 guns. The AP is not even that special. It's 152 AP. It's pretty much 152mm AP without with improved AP angles, I presume, but no short fuse. So you will overpen a lot of DDs. The damage output might be lackluster at the beginning. It might seem lackluster at the beginning, but this thing has an ace on its sleeve. It has a super heal, it has radar, it has hydro, and it also has some torpedoes. But the thing that makes St. Martin so ridiculously strong and bringing it to the table is the F key. The F key of the ship, I don't know the value right now. I think it's 80%. You have an F key that you charge up with main gun hits. Once you have the F key ready, you can lower your consumable reload time by 80%. The super heal it has heals pretty much all damage. It's not like Marseille, and it's not like Salem, for example, that doesn't heal any citadel damage. This super heal of St. Martin also heals citadel damage, torpedo damage, all that stuff fairly good away, and you can heal ridiculous high amount of numbers. You can play this ship, as long as you don't get angled by multiple crossfires, extremely aggressive, push into something, charge your F key up, you get smashed for half of your HP by the team focusing you down, you heal, you press the F key, within another 25 seconds you have a super heal again. It's legit a cockroach. If you do this right, you cannot really get killed easily, and you can play it extremely aggressive while always healing up, forcing the people to leave positions more and more. And as long as you don't overdo it with multiple people at once, you can just shift the map balance to your advantage, because you have good concealment. You can also go dark if you want to, obviously. But the ability to heal all the damage you take is crazily strong, and with that, also, you can back-to-back radar. That's something you should not underestimate. You have a DD, you get like 6k damage on him, but your F key is charged up. Unlucky, he survives. He thinks he's safe again. He turns into you again, not knowing you can press your key, and you have back-to-back a radar with him 20 seconds ready again, and you just smash him again. Like the back-to-back raid, like you have pretty much a perma radar at that point if you can trigger your F key, and you just completely remove any DD play in that department. So, really, really strong, but also not easy to play. You still need to care about the minimap and the surroundings, but if you master this, extremely, extremely strong. And guess what? The last boat we have here is the Svea, and where else could I put it besides here? Because I think it's the best steel cruiser in the game. We have another broken ship, the Svea. Woohoo! Clap, 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 clap. Now, Svea is a light cruiser that at the beginning doesn't look that particularly special. You have 7 Ragnar guns, you're a light cruiser, but if you look at more into detail, you will notice you have smoke and radar as 2 different slots. Which means, okay, alright, smoke and radar, that's pretty strong. But why is it like not like Plymouth down here? This thing has ridiculously short cooldown on the smoke on the radar. The radar is probably like, what was it, 45 seconds cooldown, maybe 50, I'm not sure. So you can back-to-back radar. Again, it's the same like here, just that you don't have an F key. You can just remove any DD play by just back-to-back radar, because they come in, they think they have now a minute of capping. Nah, they don't. They come in, they get radared again, you smash them. You have short burst smokes, that means you can always like smoke up whenever you need. Oh, smoke screen is over, in the next few seconds I have my next smoke. You also have a ridiculously tanky hull, because the thing actually has 25 millimeters of armor. You wouldn't think that. You would think it's like a super light like Minotaur or Smolensk. No, it actually has also a decent amount of armor. It's very slim. Plus that, you can also drop occasionally these 13.5 km torpedoes. This ship can be played extremely aggressive, making any DD play useless, but at the same time, also, a BB push comes into you, you kite away, you smoke, you farm the BB, you get DCPs, the smoke screen is over, you can repeat this 7 times, and the complete push is evaporated because you just farm down its absurd amount of damage numbers and force the enemy push to abandon their idea because they just trade so badly against your Svea. This is a ridiculously strong ship and can be either played aggressive or defensive in both regards, because you have the insane amount of smoke screens, you have the short cooldown on the radar, and your guns are super easy to aim because it's Ragnar guns. And you have on the side a massive 70 plate, so even if you are managed a BB shooting you, you can bait them into shooting your side citadel plating, and as long as you're angled, they just ricochet. So very, very strong. And yes, this has been my tier 10 cruiser list. Took a bit longer than the BBs because there's actually a big difference between certain boys. Keep in mind, this is my opinion. Now, there's gonna be probably a lot of people who think, why is their Commissar only in Unicum? Or why is Napoli broken? Why is it not here or something? So, this is my personal reflective, how I feel towards the cruisers. Also, I explain in the back why I put some cruisers where. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. This was a long video. And see you next time, you trainers. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And here is the tier 10 cruiser list. Hope you enjoyed it, you trainers, and out. Bye bye.